we are live. Hello. I'm going to go ahead and switch here just for a second. Hi, this is Amy. It's with Just a Little Ink. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and today I'm hopping on for a quick live. It's been a little crazy the last little bit. I've been dealing with some knee pains and other things, but that's stuff no one really wants to hear about. But I'm here and I want to share the card that I actually did with my team. This week we meet monthly via Zoom, and I mail them a card idea, which is always a challenge because I don't know what supplies they might have. So I try to think of something that they could grab and do with stamps they have. And so this card idea is one that I did with my team, and I want to do that with you. And so I'm going to go ahead and do the picture-in-picture, and we can get going and you can see the things that I've got going on here. So you need a half a sheet of designer series paper, or not designer series paper, cardstock. This is cloud cover. It's probably one of my favorite new 2027 to 2025, I am tongue-tied today, to 2027 in colors, and they are on sale this month. There are a lot of products. They're not just papers and inks. There are a lot of products that have these colors in them. Any of the colors from their 2025 to 2027 in colors are on sale, 15% off through the end of August. You can find my link in the description of this video if you're on Facebook or on YouTube, and you can find it in my profile if you're looking for my ordering link, and I'll put it at the bottom of this video when it finishes on Facebook so that you can find that if you don't currently have a demonstrator. I'm going to say if you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to be yours. I do mail a hand-stamped card that's got nothing inside of it, so you may use it for every order that is placed through me. If you have any questions, you can also reach out. Again, all that information is in the description. And so let's go ahead and get going. You need the half sheet. I started talking about this. It could be either direction. I've chosen to have it cut in the vertical manner. So I've got it at 4 1/4 by 11, and I score it in the middle at 5 1/2. You're going to want a piece of basic white for the inside of your card, 4 by 5 1/4, and then I have a piece of window sheet that you're going to want to cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and then I've got a couple other pieces. I've already cut these, but you need a scrap piece of fresh freesia or whatever color you would decide for the butterfly, and the butterflies are from, I think it might be Beautiful Butterflies, which is got an embossing folder and die set that coordinate with a stamp set. And I'm just using the die set to get the little butterfly. And then its little body is cut from the excess pieces of Secret C. So the Secret C, I've already cut Secret C in basic white from our Stylish Shapes dies. I keep mine on magnetic sheets. They're the second and the third largest. So this third largest is from the white, and then the second to the largest is from the Secret C. You'll need those in, the Secret C is at 2 7/8 or about 3 inches, and this one is 2 1/2. And then I've got all kinds of strips that are 3/4 of an inch wide that are cut from the Floral Impressions designer series paper. All kinds of pretty papers. One side is a tiny pattern print. I'll get it a little closer to the camera. The other are florals. And this paper is one of the items that's discounted 15%. And so before shipping and tax, it's $10.63. Ink pads that are the 2025 to 2027 are also on sale, as are the refills, the Stampin blends. So lots of items. Then I'm also going to use the Right Words, which is an online exclusive stamp set. I just really love how all of these words work. And so I'll be using one of those on my circle. And again, I'm using Secret Sea ink. So let's kind of set some of these things aside because we don't need them yet. And I'll kind of step through. Now with my team, I had to cut down my paper strips so they would fit in an envelope. But what I like to do when I'm using this method is I don't cut them down. I use them long because then I can trim as I go. So you need your multi-purpose liquid glue, and then you're going to start, you can kind of decide ahead of time if you want, but I kind of just start and I take and glue, and I'm going to grab, actually I didn't do this with my team, but I think it's a great idea to keep things from sticking everywhere. I'm actually going to use our silicone craft sheet underneath. It'll have kind of a two-sided reason for it, but one is you might be able to see a little better or not, but it'll keep things from sticking to my table. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come over and I'm not sure. Let's see here. I'm going to come back. Here we go. And I'm going to scroll here. All right. Make it back to where I was. Just distracting all of you, aren't I? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start on the one corner and I'm going to leave, I'll kind of lift it up to the camera so you can see it. But I'm putting adhesive on the back. Gets a little closer. And then you can kind of see that I've got a corner up here. And so I'm going to lay it across here. And then I'm going to decide what colors do I want to coordinate with. And I'm going to kind of just decide as I go. I like to kind of alternate between florals and then the prints on the other side. I kind of think I want to, it'll be different. Every one of them can be different, which is the nice thing. You don't have to have things be the same. I want to kind of come in here. I like that. Now on the one I originally did, I did 6 prints, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be here, and then I spaced them out. You can do more prints, so like I could decide to push up and then do one here. But I think I kind of like having just the 6. So I'll just kind of space out. And the reason you'd want to decide your spacing now is so that you have equal space between all of these strips. And so kind of think about that as you're laying designer paper on top of your window sheet. Now I'm pretty sure you could decide to not do this at an angle and have a very pretty card. So I'm going to kind of come like this. If you can get me up in the screen here all the way. So then I'm going to start going from this piece down. And the nice thing is you could then alternate after you cut it off, going in between, but I'm not going to go that route. So I'm just going to kind of take and live dangerously. I'm actually going to stick over here so I'm not coming across the screen every time. Over here. Okay, so I'm going to take, you know what, I did that wrong. That's why you don't do it that way. Okay, we're going to cut that off. I put adhesive on the wrong side. And so we want to get that out of the way. So I actually wanted to put it on the floral and not the other. So I'm going to come across here and leave my gap that I've kind of predetermined. And as long as I'm consistent within, you know, a variance of probably a 1/16 of an inch, it's going to end up looking really good. So then I'm going to go ahead and keep going. And this time putting it on the correct side of the paper. Again, you don't need a ton of adhesive on there. You do need a reasonable amount. And the biggest thing is you want to make sure that wherever your window sheet ends, that you go beyond at least a fraction. And so I'm just going to kind of get here, keep that down, and we're just going to keep going. Gluing as we go is the better way. Again, I'm being a little more generous with my glue than I probably have to be. The nice thing with our multi-purpose liquid glue is that it dries clear. So if you have areas, like I've got a little here that are showing glue, it's going to dry clear, and so it's okay. So then I'm going to move this one out of the way a little bit. I'm going to slide my assortment here on top of my window sheet, or on my, see, and then sometimes you get messy. That's because I'm recording. That's always the case. So again, it dries clear. It's a good thing. I'm going to scoot down just a teeny bit here, and then I've got my last piece that I want to make sure I get adhered to my window sheet. So I'm going to come across to the base. I normally end up with one corner if it's got a little more window sheet showing than the opposite corner. And it's really hard to see all of that on the camera, but just so you're aware, that's there. So I'm going to let this sit just a minute to dry, and we'll assemble our butterfly that I've already die cut. I'm going to take and put just a little adhesive on the center of my butterfly's wings, and then lay his body on top of it, because I don't know exactly where I want adhesive to line up. So I'm going to kind of lay him there, and then we can set him aside. And then we've got a little stamping, literally a little stamping. So what I'm wanting to do is decide, okay, which of my greetings on my previous card I had used, I know a good thing when I see it, but there are a lot of, this is an all occasion set, and I really like that it's an all occasion set. Let's see. Oh, all kinds of things. What's this one? We've got sympathy ones, we've got birthday greetings. I like the ones that have the script in it. However, well, I might still use the same one I'd used before. So I think it could be used for a lot of different things. So I'm going to grab my block. This will be big enough. That's good. Make sure that I'm straight on my block. If you haven't, with our red rubber, kind of get it up here a little bit. It helps if you line up your words from the back side straight to the bottom of your clear block, your acrylic block, so that when you're stamping, you'll know if it's straight. Because I'm stamping on a circle, it's not as big a deal, but if you're on a square piece, it really is a big deal. So I'm going to tap, tap, tap into my ink, make sure I've got enough there, and then I'm not going to go quite in the center, but I want to come about here. You could center it, I'm actually pretty close to that. And that's all I've got, so I'm going to go ahead and close my ink pad so that I don't get things messed up. And since I have my liquid glue out, I'm just going to use the liquid glue to attach the two together. So I'm layering this circle onto my secret C circle. Once I've stamped my greeting. Okay, and then we'll set that aside. So at this point, this is dried enough. So I'll peel it off of my sheet. And then it's a matter of getting out scissors and trimming along. So I turn it over to the back. It's hard to see since this is clear, but I'm going to then trim along the edge of my window sheet. You could use your paper trimmer. That's another option for coming across. And if you did that, you could easily have them all cut in one fell swoop. Just be careful not to snip your window sheet. Again, because it's clear, it's easy to do that. So I'm going to keep turning. And then I'll have pieces I can use for another project. Really close to being done. This really is a super quick layout and one that you could twist and change up just based on the designer paper and greeting that you choose. So I'm going to get those out of the way, then we can get ready to go. So at this point we have everything we need to get going. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that card base in half. Okay, and I'm going to choose one of these. Where did I grab this paper here? Okay, my inside, I'm going to choose my greeting later. And so I'm just going to come in here to decide if I've got a piece that's, yeah, here we go. Got one that's longer. I want to just put one across. And so I'm going to grab that glue again. And I'm going to go just a little wider than I need it. We'll lay here. There we go. Okay. Line it up at the bottom, and that's how I'm going to kind of dress up the inside of my card. Come up just above the base of that inside piece, and I'm going to wait to stamp my greeting for the inside. You could, of course, before you send it. Sometimes I like to do that just so I can decide later what I want to say. And again, I could use my trimmer or I could just use my scissors. So I've got all of that ready to go. So let's go ahead. I'm a seal kind of gal, so you have to let me know what your favorite type of adhesive is. Are you someone who loves the tape runner? Do you love our old Tombow adhesive we used to carry? Are you a fan of seal? I think seal takes a little getting used to, but once you get used to it, I really come where I like it. So, okay. Then to attach this to the front to keep it floating, I want to attach Stampin' Dimensionals. And so I want to grab out, let's see where I've got my full sheet of regular sized ones. I'm going to start, and you want to keep them in the areas where you've got that designer paper strip, because then when I turn this over, I can't see them. So there's a reason behind that. So I'm going to come along, and I want those at the edges. And then I'll probably come back and add some more in the centers. But at this point, I definitely want them along the edges. And I'm like kind of twisting the corners of the hexagons to be where I want them to be. So, like so. And then especially in these sections that are a little wider, I want at least these two middle ones to have a little bit in the center. You could add more, but you definitely want at least this many. So then I'm going to pull off at least the ones around the perimeter. Again, these ones in the middle, you really don't have to pull the back ear off of those, because, we'll just put those over here. You just want them to support to lift it from being dragging down. So at this point, it's a matter of then lining it up and centering it on the front of your card. And it's going to float, because that section of window sheet you're not going to see. But you will see your strips. You can see it from the reflection. So it kind of allows things to sit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and grab my greeting. I could lift it up again, but I'm going to just leave it flat. I'm not going to add any more dimension to it because I don't want it too thick. And I'm going to stick mine here because I have a lot of glue that got stuck over here. So you can decide kind of how you'd like that to go. I'm going to press, and then I'm going to take and put a little bit of glue on the back of my butterfly. Hopefully I called it a butterfly the whole time. So I'm going to grab just a little bit. I learned something from this Stampin' Up's virtual album retreat that I didn't really know previous to, and that is if you put a liquid or multi-purpose liquid glue on and let it set and dry, it's repositionable. So if that's something that concerns you, you could certainly do that. I'm not too worried about it at this point, but if you were, you can go ahead and let it set, and then you can still stick it down and it'll stay. And then I'm going to take my butterfly and I'm going to twist him over like so. Go on this way. I already have adhesive there, so I think we have made our decision. All right, and because it's not multi-dimensional, it's okay. If you wanted it to be and you wanted to flip it up, you could certainly do so. So this is my simple, what I'm calling a floating panel card layout. And then on the inside, very simple. So nice, simple, lots of occasions, depending on your layout, you might have something else. And so with all of that, I thank you so much for joining me. If you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would so appreciate if you do so. And as always, like, share, comment, and post on my Facebook page, Just a Little Ink, any card ideas that you do like this, because I'd love to see your creations. So with that, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks so much.